Hey, this is indeed Walt from the Comic Book Men, and you're listening to the iWalter Show.
Your time. We'll just be going.
Shut up and sit down. You know, I could kill you all. It'd be very easy. We'd claim self-defense. 3 deranged rapists broke in our house.
Isn't that a little severe?
Yeah, we were only looking.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Okay, hey, this is Walter from iWalter. I actually did not want to do a show tonight because it's actually really, really late. I'm going to empty my recycle bin and see if it comes up on. Nope, it didn't. Okay, that's cool. So, yeah, what happened was I was watching late at night tonight. I started watching because I got this thing called Shudder. I mentioned it before. And I was trying to dig through some movies because the movie I forgot to mention yesterday, by the way, which I started to, and I actually closed it down. I think I never opened it up tonight, was this movie called Toolbox Murders, because I think my friend Todd told me about his brother used to rent all these horror movies back, in the day when they were all on VHS. And I've heard of it, I just never saw it. Okay, I got this on private set, and that really sucks. So, yeah, I got to get used. So I've been trying to use my Windows newer laptop. Now a third one came today, by the way. And unfortunately, though, this last one they're all Star Wars laptops. I got to decide which one I want to keep now. One I was going to sell, for no less than $400. I'm taking a $300 loss on it if I do. The other one's got a 2-year warranty. I mean, if it worse comes to worse, I don't mind keeping both of them because one is going to strictly be for collector's reasons, and the other one is just like for everyday use. I don't like it as much personally. The Windows, the laptop itself is great because it's very light and easy to carry. The OS, I like what I use at home, which is actually a Mac. OS 10. I like OS 10 much, much better. By the way, this really was like a cock tease for me tonight. Somebody actually posted on Facebook a picture indicating that there actually are going to make the remake. They made a remake of Evil Dead. Well, somebody had they must have kind of made it up themselves. But saying, oh, yeah, they're actually going to do the remake of Evil Dead 2 now with the same chick they got from the Evil Dead remake. I was one of the few people who really liked that movie, so that really was a cock tease to me because I think she did a really good job. And it definitely modernized it. I love that movie so much, I think I saw it maybe more than once, and then I made sure I got a pre-order of it because I was that psyched about the film not only when it came out, I liked what they changed in the film. I liked the original one, but I liked the remake just as much. So now I got to look for this Toolbox Murders because there was one thing that really stuck out my mind. Sorry about that. Because people won't hear me. I was actually just going to hold the mic tonight and try to do it. I was like, this is not going to work. Sorry about that, folks. I keep on stepping away from my mic. So, yeah, the Toolbox Murders came out in 1978. So I was watching this last night. Make sure I turn off. There were some hot chicks in there, too, by the way. The one girl actually looked familiar. She was a kid actress. There was actually 2 kid actresses. The one, I swore, he looked like the guy who played in the Brady Bunch, one of the kids, like the oldest son. But here it wasn't because he looks just like the guy who played, in Brady Bunch, out of the 3 boys, the oldest one. This guy looks a lot like him when he was younger, but no, actually it was one of my other favorite shows, Land of the Lost, which, the guy who played the brother in Land of the Lost, I used to love that show. I have it. Like, I bought it, then I sold it. It was like, why the fuck did I sell this? It was a great show. I actually liked it so much, they did try to remake it for TV, a few years later, and it just did not do that well. I did suffer through watching them, which you can't buy those. It was like a continuation from the original series with different characters and a whole different setup. It was not as good as the original one. And then, of course, that movie was just horrendous that they made. That was a real mistake. But yeah, the actor, he's obviously a lot older. This was like 1978. I was only like 12. Well, let's see. I was born in 67. Yeah, I was like 11 years old. And I loved that show. I thought it was like the best thing since sliced bread. I love that show. But that guy who played the brother, it probably was around the same time, because now I can't remember when Toolbox Murders, I think it came out around the same time. Let's see. But yeah, he was in this movie. He was actually the person who was solely responsible for the murders. There was actually two different actors who were playing. Now, I didn't know this, but let's see, though. Came out in 1978. Yeah, so he was actually doing, at the same time, he was doing Land of the Lost, this actor. So no wonder why he looked so familiar. But the Toolbox Murders, at the very end of the movie, they claimed that this was based upon a true life incident with this guy that was going around killing these people. They also try to indicate that there was supposedly a sequel, but I don't know. I honestly don't know, because I thought I saw it on Shudder and it was like a different date. But this is what I wanted to talk about. I totally forgot about it. I was trying to hold out from saying anything. It was like, whoops, maybe I should. Well, it was good because I didn't start something and not finish it. I just kind of indicated I was going to start something, but I never even went that far. So I'm looking at like some screenshots. There's stuff I had not seen in the movie that's like online. Some woman's head severed. Actually, it says Toolbox Murders 2004. So maybe that's what it is too. Yeah, so I think it's on Shudder, but I'm not quite sure. The sequel, but 78 to 2004. That's quite a bit of a difference. I thought the movie was actually, personally, oh god, they said it was a Toolbox Murders Part 3. I don't know, but the original one was supposedly based upon some like true to life incident. They actually, like, the woman, the girl who was a survivor. There was like one survivor who was kidnapped. They were saying what she was doing, like the real person who suffered through this, where she was, at that time, like after this incident had taken place, like she was okay. So again, I never, I never saw the Toolbox Murders. I just knew about it. I remember going in the video stores like Blockbuster and stuff, and they always had that listed. But, yeah, I never actually, had watched the film. I just never rented it. So it was like, wow, now I can get all this stuff. It actually, to me, I think it's really, it's worth it. The cash you pay is like $5 a month. You hold on to it for a few months. Basically, just rent it, watch a couple of these films. You're going to get your money's worth after the first one or two. Literally, I think. So, I did watch, again, Toolbox Murders. Now, tonight, though, I actually watched another one, and I think it's Lean. You know what? I should, I don't want to pause now, because I'm actually got everything set up that I can just, once I'm done recording, I can just put it right up, because normally I have to do all this maneuvering to get it finished. So I don't want to go through that tonight. Anyway, I think her name is Lena. I say Lena Quigley, if I'm saying it correctly. I know her last name's Quigley. She was a scream queen. And I remember years ago, I swear it was on a different show, but it was called Up All Night. And they had this movie on. They used to show all these really bad movies real late at night. There was like this hot chick and this comedian. They go back and forth and who was hosting. And they showed this movie. It was called... I'll look up their names again, because I actually had her a little bit earlier. The movie was actually called Sorority Babes of Slime Bowl-orama, and it was on. It was like, wow. But I didn't realize they cut a lot of the movie out because there was quite a bit of nudity. Now, if I'm saying her name right, because I apologize if I'm not, I'm just going to go because I don't want to have to pause and start it up and screw it up because the way I maneuvered the show together tonight was just a real pain. I don't think it's Lena. I think it's Lena Quigley or something. She's a scream queen. She's a blonde-haired chick. And I've seen like a couple of her films, especially when I grew up. I remember watching quite a bit of those. Not realizing, like, because she was kind of hot. I mean, she's not bad looking now, but she was really, she had like her face, I guess, from acne from when she was even younger yet. Kind of left its potholes in her face. I mean, I don't mean that in the mean way, but she did have a bit of a rough face, so to speak. But she's known because she always is nude in most of these movies. So, I mean, personally, I thought who was really the most hot person that I ever thought back in these Scream Queens. And she only did really one she was known for. Lena's Lena is more well known. She's like a big figure on these really bad horror movies. She was best known, which it doesn't even look like her though, but she was actually in Return of the Living Dead. She played some punker chick. Didn't even look like I said before. It didn't look like her at all because she had her hair really short and dyed God, I just saw it just a minute ago. It was like some funky color. Let me see if I can pull it up again. But yeah, she actually did some aerobic exercise thing too, and she did look actually really hot in that. Again, some people just can't help it. I think years ago, some people who it looks like I see a picture of it. Looks like it was red, dyed orange, I think actually. Yeah, she's a big scream queen. But the one I actually liked, was the chick who I saw who played Frankenhooker. And I even forget her name now because she's actually on my friends list on Facebook. Oh, Patty Mullen. I just remembered it. It always when I start typing. Hey, you know what? This is one thing, folks, I want to mention. It just very well could be just me just thinking, oh, this is the case, and it's not. But I kind of it was a serendipity thing. I might have mentioned it before, so I apologize if I did. I'm always apologizing for everything. But I swear to God, it was one time I was at a red light, and it was like, okay, well, I'm going to try to text my friend real fast. And I've noticed it more than once, so it kind of dawned on me, wait a minute, when you're texting, it does send a signal. It could be me just thinking that through the airways. And for some reason, a friend did that. He says, I just did the same thing. But what I was going to say was the light turns green right away. Like when you're texting somebody, you notice there's a little bubble thing on the bottom that says, okay, it gives the person on the other end a heads up. Hey, this person's trying to send you a message. If they're actually looking, if you're texting back and forth, they're responding back. Well, that goes through cyberspace or whatever you want to call it. It goes through the airwaves somehow. But for some reason, I don't know if it's just me because I tried it again tonight and it actually seemed to have worked. There are certain lights at nighttime. They turn red and they stay red for about 5 minutes. And the only way you can get through those if you have the right equipment, whatever you want to call it, the police. With their, they must have a thing that kind of can change the light right away, or the ambulance. So, so I know these lights because every night I come home, it just drives me insane that they stay red for at least, I'm not even kidding, for a solid 5 minutes. And the reason I hate it because then you have these asshole drivers who have their high beams on, they speed up, and then they're right behind you, and lo and behold, what they try to do is. There's this stretch of road that when I go home, it's a hill. What they do is they try to speed up, and then when you're trying to make a turn or even beforehand, they try to pass you on a double yellow line. And I got to deal with that every fucking night coming home. It drives me insane. It gets me really pissed off because it's the same bullshit every fucking night. And it's like these idiots, because, there is a friend he said at his job, he's a manager at this one friend, supervisor at his job, and he said one of the supervisors didn't come in because she had family matters to worry about, and I don't know if it was her father or something who had a head-on collision with another car. And I'm sorry, but you hear more and more about this stuff where there's these head-on collisions just because people, and it's at nighttime that these accidents actually are the worst, just because these people don't know how to drive or they're not paying attention. I told you the other night, it was like 9 o'clock. I got to leave work early because we had some type of ratification meeting to bid on. And I came back to my neck of the woods, and lo and behold, there was I told you about this yesterday, two pickup trucks head-on with each other, severely bad because they had everybody in this jurisdiction, every cop, every police officer, every fire truck, every fire police just to work on this incident. It was that bad. It was really bad. My pictures don't do it justice on the amount of damage that these two trucks did to each other. And, but I mean, the bottom line is I deal with that every night, and the part that bothers me the most is there's no way around it, and you get stuck behind a light. Like, I'll hit at nighttime, all the lights on the main road all turn red, and you got these, again, I mentioned this too. My friend at work did mention that he's noticed it too. You got more people that are basically, if not stoned, they're like high on some type of crack or something else. They're like crackheads, I think he said. Not crackhead Bob, but you know what I mean. I hope. And it's just gotten worse and worse, and especially at nighttime when you try to go around, you got these people that are either coming from bars, they're texting and driving extremely fast. They have their windows, majority of the time, they have them so heavily tinted, I called it blacked out, that they can't see where they're going. So that just gives them another reason. And if you talk to one of these people, I think you have your windows too tinted, and I bet you can't see at nighttime. Their excuse is, I can see perfectly fine at nighttime. That tint doesn't affect the way I drive. Yeah, it actually does, because you are an accident, these people who do that, and you do create car accidents. No ifs, ands, and buts. It's just a fucking fact. So that being said, it just, there's the purpose of having windows in a car is not to black them out. The purpose of windows is so you can see what is going on in front of you. But for some reason, these idiots think that they should darken out their windows beyond belief that they can't see. Now, if you're a celebrity and you have somebody like, what do you call it? A limousine, somebody else is driving you, hey, that's fucking fine, because the limousine driver's windows aren't going to be tinted. You can have your windows like solid metal for all I fucking care. But when you're driving on the road in your car and it's just because of pure arrogance that you black out your windows, because obviously most of the time these idiots are trying to hide something. It's just a fact, because there was reports that said, that I've seen online, this is no joke, police reports, they pulled over some car because their tint was too heavy on their car, and what did they find? Drugs in the car. So there always are concealing something, and if it's not even drugs or alcohol of some sort, or they're doing something else, it could even be that they're like illegally, transporting people, because I've heard about that before too. There is a reason why you have your windows dark, and part of it is just pure arrogance on their part, which is very dangerous. But the bottom line is, going back to what I originally wanted to say about this whole thing, I just don't like being stuck at a traffic light, because then I get these idiots that endanger my life. I don't care about their life, so I'm just going to say they endanger my life on the road. They are a hazardous. They're a hazard to the road. They are, total misfits that don't need to be on the road. They're idiots. So as soon as I can the further I can get away from these morons, these idiots who drive like, basically like jackasses, the happier I am, and the quicker I can get the distance between me and them, further and further apart, I'm even more, happy to see that. So when I found this little trick, which I didn't know, it just seems like it works, trust me, day or night. Because the signal you're transmitting on your phone, for some reason, I guess maybe I hope they don't figure out. Maybe there's like something where this is like an educated guess or whatever you want to call it. But a friend tried the same thing, and he says, "You know what, Walter?" Because it was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He said, "Yeah, I did that thing. I was texting," because he didn't like say it right out, but he was basically saying, "Hey, I did that texting thing at a red light, and the light turned automatically green." So I did that with 2 traffic lights from Lansdale down towards Trooper. One that I know for a fact it changes twice in the one direction, which is on Germantown Pike, but the other way, you're actually crossing over, I believe it's, it changes from 363 to 422, this road, or Valley Forge Road. And the light does not change for about at least, because I've timed it before, it doesn't change for about 5 minutes. Now, this crossover road, it's like going one way would go towards Norristown, the other direction goes, actually better yet, towards Methacton High School. There's this road on Germantown Pike. It's actually called, there's a shopping center called Village Green at this particular spot. At nighttime, the light constantly over Germantown Pike will turn green. The direction going over from Valley Forge Road, crossing over Germantown Pike over to the other side, will not turn green at least for 2 or 3 signals, like that it will change green for the other side, crossing over Germantown Pike if you're on that road. It will change for Germantown Pike, green, red, then green again. And it's done that numerous times. It takes literally about at nighttime after 1 o'clock. That's about what time I get home, about, a little after between 12:30 1 o'clock. That light will stay a solid red for about 5 minutes, at least 5 minutes. Well, at the longest 5 minutes. So it was an accident. So that one was an experiment. It never changes any sooner than that. So here I just pretend I put on like some message that had a text, and I'll just put basically garbly goop. I'll just type letters, because at that point, if you're not sending that signal to yourself, this is just my guess. I could be totally off. I would say, you know what, try it sometime and say, "Hey, Walter, you don't know what you're talking about." Or, as my friend said, he said, "You know what, you're absolutely right. The light changed automatically that way." So I might be on to something. I shouldn't tell. Well, there's nobody who listens to my show. I don't have to care about it. But all I'm saying is it does work. Why, I don't know. I'm just guessing. I know it's probably a signal being, transmitted from the sender to the receiver, which you never actually send the message then, because otherwise they'd see a bunch of letters and say, "What the fuck is this?" All I do know is that it works. Anyway, I'm going to tell you, you know what? The guy that played on Land of Lost, his first name's Wesley, and his last name is spelled E-U-R-E. He's the dude, like I said, he played in Land of Lost. He's much, much older. He's 64 now. It's hard to believe, because I was only 11 years old when that was on. Toolbox Murders, by the way, because I don't think I repeated that part. So I watched that last night. That movie was so bad. I had a hard time getting through it. The only thing that actually caught my attention, by the way, was when they said, "Oh, you know what? This is actually was based upon a true story." So then it was like, okay, this is pretty cool. So there was that. And again tonight, I watched Lena. Is it Lena or is it Leanna? Lena Quigley. Again, she's got a rockin' body back in the day. You're talking like the 80s. Oh, that's what I was going to check out for you folks. Was, I actually already forgot. No. Not Lena Quigley. There was something. Oh, okay. The host for Up All Night. I'm doing that now. Up All Night. Rhonda Shear was the one, but there was another one. The guy who's got the really big freaking mouth. Now, again, Rhonda Shear, she had a rockin' body, too. She was a hot blonde back in the day. They claimed that she actually was the one who showed the movie Sorority Babes, the Slime Ball-O-Rama, but I actually thought it was the other guy. I did used to watch Rhonda Shear for obvious reasons. If you look her up, because I found her on YouTube, I actually totally forgot about what her name was. But, yeah, she had a rockin' body. She had that 80s hairdo, like that puffy hair, you know, because you're talking literally back in the 80s. But she used to wear, like, skin-tight skirts all the time, like really provocative clothes, deliberately. And she had rather big breasts. They might have even been natural. I'm trying to think. The guy's Jewish. The other guy that would do the shows, or Rhonda Shear wasn't doing it. They kind of swapped back and forth. But trust me, you watch the films, because I like those B horror movies too. I actually would stay up, you know, God, back in the 80s, I think I was only a teenager or a kid back then when she would actually show these movies. And it was no joke. I'd stay up just to take care of business. I mean, just watching her would just like, I get off on it. I mean, that's like, what is that? Too much information. I don't have time to figure out what the abbreviation is for that. Let me see. Let me see if I can. Let me move my mic down and see if I can figure out the other host. Other host for Up All Night. I don't have it right. God, it's not actually showing it. I swear there was another host, and written by, created by, variety sketch, Rhonda Shear, Up All Night. I swear there was another guy who kind of covered her show, and he's a comedian. Let's see if I put in loudmouth Jewish comedian, loud. Because it's right on the tip of my tongue. And I mentioned him before because I always forget. I think he was on Howard Stern. Oh, I remember. Gilbert Godfrey. That's what I couldn't remember. Yeah, it was Gilbert Godfrey. He covered the shows once in a while, too. I'm glad I figured it out because it's not coming up. Actually, they're in alphabetical order, too. I didn't realize how many. They're saying Goldie Hawn is Jewish? I don't know. If it is, that's a shock to me. I did not know that. She's 70 now, too. Everybody loves Goldie Hawn, but God, I didn't know she was that old. Yeah, but it was Gilbert Godfrey. He covered it. I swore it was him who did that. I'm just putting in. Gilbert Godfrey, I thought he was really funny. He actually looks decent for his age. He's only 5'5". He is from Brooklyn, New York. I knew he was from New York, though. I'm trying to look. They don't give his... Oh, he's 61, though. Yeah, he still looks... The guy looks really good for his age. He's one person. He doesn't seem to age at all, but he is kind of... He's annoying. Don't get me wrong. He is very annoying. But he's made a whole career of just being a nuisance, so to speak. But I swear that Gilbert Godfrey, I thought he covered Rhonda Shear's show once in a while for one reason or another. But, yeah, I remember watching. They were like the worst run-of-the-mill horror movies, like the worst you could dig up. And, what do you call it? Slime Bowl-O-Rama was definitely one of them. And, but yeah, I would watch that. I mean, there was a chick that was, I mentioned her before. My one friend Matt remembers. I mentioned her before from Philadelphia. Stella. She wasn't bad looking. She was very well endowed. But if you would put her next to Rhonda Shear, no question of doubt about it. I guess because, obviously Rhonda Shear was from New York, too. She was, like, beyond super hot. And her whole thing was, I mean, I'm sorry, I was like, you couldn't wait for her to come back. That's why you would watch these horrendous movies. But literally, if you didn't, I mean, back then you would videotape the stuff. If you had a VHS player, you would videotape it and then take care of business later on. But if you didn't, then you would just watch Ron DeShear live and basically take care of business before the movie came back. Yeah, but I'm like looking at some old footage of Ron DeShear. She was like incredibly hot. There's no other way to put it. But yeah, she would wear like skin tight skirts and really provocative clothes. But that was the whole thing about Ron DeShear. God, I miss those days. Honestly, God, I just didn't realize how much I missed these shows. Yeah, like I said, there was the other one. She might have even been a model for all I know. I don't know. But she had, I don't know what it was about the 80s, too, also. But for some reason, like, people back in the 80s, there was, like, I don't know how to put it politically correctly, but all the chicks, and even all the chicks were really hot back then. I'm sorry. Because there was, like, what do you call it? There was no, it didn't matter which ethnicity you were because everybody basically dressed and acted the same. Now, Ron DeShear's got, what do you call it on there? Quigley, the woman Quigley I mentioned about. This one I might actually have to put on my, now this wasn't the time, like, she had her on Lena Quigley on the one day she showed Slime Bowl Rama, though. This was a different time. It's just kind of funny to see her on there. But yeah, I remember back then, the chicks, you didn't know what their nationality was, what their ethnicity was. It wasn't that big of a fucking deal. Everybody, like the chicks always wore, their hair really puffy. Didn't matter, again, of what your ethnicity was, what your background was. But the chicks were all fucking hot. They didn't like try to say, well, this is my where I came from, my nationality, my background. Didn't matter if you're black, Hispanic, or anything like that. Because you think about it seriously. Just think about back then how the girls would dress, and they would all like. Because I'm looking at this one with Ron DeShear, they would wear like those skin tight skirts. They would have their hair puffy. And again, you didn't fucking care either what nationality they were because they were all fucking hot. And now it's like you have to kind of separate yourself on whatever, whatever nationality. You have to be politically correct, on the person's background, ethnicity, and shit like that. But back then, that was not the case. And I actually remember it was funny years ago because I actually was even more so shallow-minded. I worked for a short period of time. I think I mentioned this many a time. So I worked at the Acme Market down in Horsham. And this one guy I was friends with, I know my friend next door, this guy named Joe Thomas, did not like this guy I worked with. But he kind of reminded me, he was a black guy, but he looked so cool because the way he dressed and things like that. I can't remember his name, though. But he kind of just looked like one of those guys from MTV. Like, everybody kind of, there was no, again, I'm telling you, there was no separation on people like there is now. Like, there was no segregation, no separation. I'm talking back in the 80s, especially when I lived in Horsham. There was absolutely, okay, well, I'm not going to talk to this person because they're Latino or because they're black or because they're white. No, we never thought about that back then. And now it's become such an issue. And it just actually popped in my mind because I'm like, again, I'm watching now this whole thing with Ron DeShear. That was the last thing on our fucking mind back then. It was like, if you're a girl, all you thought about is she hot looking or is she like okay looking? That's about as far as it went. You look at all the music videos back then. You know, rap wasn't a big deal. You know, basically all there was two things back in the 80s. I mean, yeah, there was rap, but it was more comical back then. It wasn't offensive. But that was fun. I mean, people used to love watching that. But as far as the mainstream music, there was two things, and especially on MTV, Headbangers Ball and basically all like the pop music. And everybody who fit in the pop music was basically entertainers of all nationalities that were Americans. Yeah, that's all they were. They were Americans. They weren't segregated, separated, or anything else. And it was great. I mean, yeah, now you got to worry about what you say. And now the newest one is the whole bullshit with the transgender thing. It's just really over the top now. I mean, it's just gotten so freaking ridiculous. It's like every day there's something new about that whole shenanigans and issues. I mean, I'm so sick and tired about it. I would, if I could just tap my shoes together. I mean, they weren't like the best times. I had a lot of, what do you call it? Disappointing times, very upsetting times. You know, obviously a lot of issues with suicide and things like that. But as far as the people I met, they were far better than they are now because they didn't spend 24/7 trying to segregate people for one reason or another. That was like basically unheard of. You never thought of like, well, you know, I can't talk to you, or, you know, have cliques or shit like that. That was like the least of what we really ever, you know, were concerned about. So what got this started was just like watching these movies of like Slime Bowl ramen stuff because, yeah, they were bad and stuff, but at the same time, they were fun to watch. The people in the movies and just people in my life at that time didn't spend so much freaking time worrying about everything else, you know, and how to like feel like you're being offended or, you know, whatever. And I tell you, the other thing was that was not a big deal. You didn't have all these issues with being politically correct in the way that we got to let everybody from other countries in our country, and they dictate to us what we can say and cannot say. That wasn't even the case either. So, oh my God, they were such great times. I mean, God, that to me was like, if I go, you know, when I die and go to heaven, that's the part of my life I could live over and over again and not have a problem with it. Because again, it was just a much, much happier times. I mean, there was obviously you're only going to think about the good times. You're not going to think about the disappointing times. But, because trust me, there was plenty of those too. So, yeah, I mean, it just stemmed up all like some fond memories. I'll tell you that much from my past. So I just wanted to mention that right now, and I actually did because, like I said, I was talking about like, and you can get all these films, by the way, the ones I'm talking about again on it's called Shudder.com, and the films are actually pretty cool. I mean, they're on a scale from 1 to 10, they're basically complete dog shit too. They're horrible movies, and they're not really that restored. But hey, I grew up renting these movies when you used to go to a video store. There was like video stores, literally Blockbusters, especially everywhere. Like every corner had another like Blockbuster. Back in the day, like it was Blockbusters, there was mom and pop video stores, TLA, you name it. They were all over the place, these video stores. It was fun back then. And again, the last thing you worried about, I mean, well, was what background, ethnicity. God, we definitely didn't worry about, what do you call it? Terrorists coming in, refugees taking over our country and telling us what to do. People were obviously a lot more friendlier back then. That's why, like, when I go on these trips, so many places I go, they're like set back 20 years ago from the way things are now. in where I live. I mean, people are definitely, it's a different atmosphere. What else can I say? And honestly, I don't know what else to say. I just, I don't have a problem with that. Because it brings back fond memories. I mean, there were some people that were, when I used to Blairstown, they were a little bit like, they're very close knit. They don't want to see an outsider, and they get plenty of them now. You can thank basically people figured out that, hey, Blairstown, part of it, I think the big part of it is this guy who actually started this whole deal of like, hey, I'm going to do, try to make some fundraising for, this campground where they shot this movie 36 years ago. I'm going to start trying to cash in on this. And then trying to, what do you call it? I'll do some tours and stuff. That opened up a whole can of worms now. Because, from him doing that, this one guy, I don't even know his name, that definitely started the whole ball rolling. And people were like, oh, hey, hey, we can actually visit this place. This is where they shot that film. Because most of the time you, see these horror movies, the last thing you do, you kind of, half-heartedly look at it. You kind of, but you don't look at it that closely. Okay, I'm going to go to Blairstown, where they shot Friday the 13th. No, you kind of, it's in the credits. They have to put in the credits where these locations were shot. But most of the time, you really rarely go and visit them. Now, I, on the other hand, have, because I actually went as far years ago as going down to Georgia, to Atlanta, and didn't go into Covington, Georgia, for the strict sole purpose of going to see where they shot Vampire Diaries, which I think they're finally going to end that show because it got kind of weak very quickly. Well, I mean, it was on for quite a few years, but I think even they realized, wow, maybe we're kind of milking this a little too much. So I think, they're finally going to end that too. So, but normally I've never, because of one other friend, my friend Matt, her say, oh, what is it? You plan your trips around celebrities and stuff. Well, you know what? I'd rather visit and actually see these locations. Because honestly, that means more to me than just watching a show. I can actually kind of get a feel for, where these location shots are. And it's actually, believe it or not, it's very, very exciting, too. I'll let you know. It would seem like it's kind of boring. No, that to me, I get more energetic from than even these times where I'm trying to think, these times, I go to these comic book conventions where people dress up. That, to me, honestly, is not that great. I mean, it's okay, but it's gotten kind of old over the years. When you actually got to talk to these people one-on-one, if you go to these horror conventions, you still have a little bit that you get to talk to these people. That actually is kind of exciting, believe it or not. But overall, it isn't that great, but the comic book conventions, the horror conventions are actually still a little bit the way comic book conventions were. But overall, honestly, I'm trying to think. It's not the same as when you visit these locations. There was this one time, I mentioned this, I went out to California to go to a Doctor Who convention. And it was at this hotel for the whole entire weekend. Well, guess how much time I actually spend at the Doctor Who convention? Very, very little. I got a little bit of my money's worth out of it. But it was like, hey, I'm out in fucking California. I'm going to actually do more than just sit in a hotel for the whole entire weekend. I'm on the fucking West Coast. I'm going to go and check out these places. And I was literally in my glory, though. I never had so much fun than I did with that. So just to let you know. It is very exciting, more so to actually visit these places, see where they shoot, because that's actually what I always wanted to do, by the way, too. I actually wanted to get into, I mentioned this a million times, also into doing that kind of stuff like broadcasting and, well, not broadcasting, but doing production work. How's that? Doing TV production, movie production. Radio production was like on the bottom of my list, but that's the only thing so far. Obviously, what I'm kind of doing in a wannabe way, because this podcast is as close as I've gotten to doing anything in what I went to school for, which was communications. Sorry about that. Which I actually really enjoy doing, too. I would like to get behind the camera again and do something, even if it's just like what I did in the past, just some goofy crap. I still honestly would not mind even just doing stuff like that. It's fun. I even kind of made the invitation to a friend. I said, hey, I videotaped him and his brother going around checking out like Penhurst that time. And I know this one friend, his brother loves doing this stuff of going to these abandoned buildings. He gets a kick out of it. I mean, he actually does it all the fucking time. He goes to these abandoned buildings and stuff. He just finds it so fascinating. I don't know why. I wouldn't actually. But he enjoys doing it. And hey, I wouldn't mind just going along and just doing like a reality check thing of videotaping him doing stuff like that. I would actually have a blast doing that. And just, because the whole thing is then you get to the point, then you get enough footage. And like the last time I did something like that, actually, I didn't edit the footage. Sometimes you actually kind of want to do that because otherwise it just is kind of redundant. But yeah, I had a fun time doing stuff like that too. But yeah, I go into a 9-to-5 job. Honestly, it gets really kind of boring and kind of old and depressing. So yeah, I'm trying to think. I did have some stuff I want to go over. I probably even had some stories that I was going to pull up. Now I got to look for them again, actually. Sorry. There was something I just seen, I guess what Ron is, I'm afraid to look, what Ron Ashir may look like now. I hope that's not her. 'Cause if it is, she really aged really badly. Actually, I have to see, because it might be actually her. She kind of, God, well, that was back in the 80s. So, I mean, people, yeah, they change, and their elasticity, I guess, among friends, that changes too, but yeah, she kind of ballooned up, and obviously got old looking. If it is her, I mean, she's not the hot looking lady that we remember from. Well, I do from back in the 80s. I don't even know if she's still alive. Well, yeah, she would have to be. But yeah, I think she probably aged pretty badly. Because there's like something that I think it was supposed to be her, but yeah, it's kind of scary. So yeah, I'm gonna try to. You know what? I apologize. I'm gonna have to like dig up these. Let me see if I can just put you on to your pictures. I'm putting in 2016. Maybe she's actually kept herself off camera now because she's aged quite a bit, I guess. Yeah, I guess she still looks attractive, but her face just looked like it kind of ballooned out. I don't know. Again, I know my one friend, Matt, her say, well, when people get older, Walter, they're not going to look as good as they did when they're in their 20s. It's like, yeah, but this is Rhonda Shear. She really kind of aged pretty badly. The only thing that's like distinctive on her anymore is her hair. But the rest of her looks beyond horrendous. So I'm going to try to dig up these stories in a second. I just want to check out one more picture. I apologize for doing this. So it's like an hour of wasted time. I hope it's not completely boring for most folks, but I'm sure it is, though. Yeah, they're making sure to stay away from the pictures of Rhonda Shearer on what she looks like today. and for obvious reasons. I'll just bookmark this one because I hate that I got this advertisement up when I'm trying to go through these pictures, and it's frozen on the screen. I can't get it off. So what do you call it? So yeah, let me go back to my stories, and the advertisement once again comes up and won't remove itself. It's amazing. You always have some problem somewhere. Yeah, she's got her neck. Wow, it's pretty sad. Wish I could just get this advertisement to turn off. Nope, and it won't go away. So, more importantly, it's not. Let me talk about Ron DeShear that nobody can see for the next 20 minutes. Let me actually go back to my Facebook page and try to dig up some of these stories I was mentioning before. Because there was actually, to say the least, there was some interesting stories again that I did pick up. And I was like, because I actually didn't get much of a break tonight, too. That kind of got me really pissed off. I'm at work, and we didn't do anything yesterday because, we come to work, we were supposed to just kind of leave and go to this place to go over our contract, which was fine, but, the people I would think it seemed like on... I'm like a second shift person, but the people that were supposed to do some work during the day shift hours didn't seem to really do much of anything or anything at all. I'm sorry to say that, but then you come in today and it's the same situation again, that things weren't much was done, very little was done. And I was actually out last week for, I was only working. That was another thing that pissed me off since I'm on that subject. I was off I only worked 3 days last week. So for somehow, and I've said this before, and it just got kind of proven, I only worked 24 hours out of a 40-hour week last week. There's people that were there for 60, 70, 80 hours, and the expectations of them not doing the work was fine, but that was then left for me that it was my responsibility. Okay, well, these people might have been here for 80 hours, Walter, and you may have only been there for 24 hours, but it is still solely your responsibility to make sure all the work gets done. And it's okay, this makes no fucking sense. Why I'm being held accountable for them not doing the work when I'm only there for 3 days and they're there for 7. So I just had to get that off my chest. And don't get me wrong, I got some people, if they hear this, that I do appreciate. They do help me. But it still does not change the situation that I am extremely pissed off that, you have all this, you have these people, and the individuals know which ones do the work and which ones don't. And that's the part that honestly, just quite honestly, it bothers me, that they know which ones, the individuals know which ones are the ones of themselves who are doing the work and the ones who are not doing their job. And it just gets me very, very, beyond angry. That, okay, do you realize that I only worked 24 hours last week, but yet I'm being held accountable for this work not getting finished? And they get prissy and they get childish and stuff like that. Now, I'm not, again, I've said it before, these individuals know which ones that I'm talking about. So it's not directly towards, I don't know how else to put it. The individuals know who I'm talking about. There's no other way to put it. I'll just be talking in circles, which I already am. So that did not leave me very pleased at all coming in tonight. Or, because last night, technically tonight, a lot of people were saying this, tonight's Monday, last night, which it technically wasn't. It was Tuesday. But a lot of us who were working second shifters at my job, it was our Monday. It really was our Monday. And I'm getting stuck with all this fucking bullshit to do, which really pissed me off. So anyway, at this point, I apologize. I'm actually was trying to get myself back on the Facebook. I'm going to go through and see if I find anything that's actually remotely worth talking about. Because I do have some article. It says, it's titled from comicbookmovie.com, Warner Brothers shaking up executive roles in the reaction to Batman vs. Superman. I'm not going to bother to read that. Don't worry about it. Okay, here's one that was funny. I'm just going to read the caption. It was from Fox 29. When a newly married couple went to their hotel room after the wedding ceremony, the bride rebuffed her husband's intimate advances. Yeah, it says that the bride rebuffed her husband's intimate advances once again, saying that he wanted. Let's see. She wanted to respond to her friends' text messages. So they said, man, right away, right on their honeymoon night, this man actually says that he wants to file for divorce because the girl was spending her whole entire honeymoon texting all her friends. Now, I kind of would have to side with the guy because that is the most irritating thing I've ever seen anybody do. And I've seen people do this with others where they're so busy texting. Now, people will do that. Both men and women will text when they don't want to talk to you. They pull the phone right up to their face and they just pretend they're texting. It's like, dude, I'm not that stupid. You're just a fucking asshole. That's why you do that. Come on, let's face it. Man or woman, that's why you do it. Doing it on your fucking honeymoon, that's even more ridiculous. I don't blame the guy whatsoever. It's like, dude, high five for you. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. There was some funny story from this one cat lovers thing. I did not actually ever open it up, but the picture just alone kind of spoke for itself in the little bit underneath. Where this kid, I guess, takes his cat to his prom. So it was pretty funny. The link's called I is Cat. That's the actual link. The guy decided to take his cat to prom, and she was the best date ever. So the cat's actually looks like it's really happy, and he puts a dress on and little pink shoes on the cat. But he literally takes his cat to his prom. There's even a video attached because I just finally opened up. Meet Sam and his perfect prom date, Ruby. So he took his cat to his prom. That's pretty clever. I thought that was pretty cute, funny. Now, another one, it actually looks like it's fake, but I think it's for real. And there's this video I had to take from somebody, snag it from him, share it. And it says, I guess it's trying to say this was legitimate. And this guy gets, it looks like, it would be an ordinary fish, but the fish is the size of the guy's body. But, what I mean an ordinary fish, like a regular fish you would get when you go fishing with your fishing pole. Well, this fish is like the size of the man. So just imagine a regular fish, and it says that is a monster. It literally is. Somehow this fish was definitely on some type of hormones, or steroids, I should say, because this fish is fucking humongous. It's literally about 7 foot long, and it is a real deal. So I think it is, because the video was real. The fish definitely looks real, so I don't know what else to say. But it is actually really, really funny, too. But it's cool. And it's on my Facebook page, just in case you know. I had that one. Here was one for cat lovers again, where this cat got a pink birthday cake, and it says, super cute photos of cat eating pink birthday cake go viral. Now, I don't even know where I think I got it from the Daily Mail. I just saw it, and his cat's licking a birthday cake they gave the cat for I guess it's a female, for her birthday. And the cat was like so happy to get this birthday cake. She's like licking the icing, whatever you call it, off the cake. It's kind of funny though. And it was on the Daily UK Mail. So there was that one. Let me see. I got some political ones from the Norristown Times Herald, but I don't want to get into stuff and just like start reading it and it gets all fucked up. One thing that was really cool, my one friend Matt from work actually posted this. And it's a picture of Kevin Smith in like one of those park ranger outfits like from Canada with some other guy. Actually, I don't even know that's Scott Moser because I haven't seen the dude in so many years. Maybe it is, but now I'm thinking about it. It might be even Scott Moser. I don't know. So I just basically wrote in, this has got to be a publicity photo for Yoga Hosers because he's been really pushing that movie because his daughter's in there too. So there was that. I actually did post something about this girl, Lizzie. She actually, it looks like there's absolutely nothing wrong with her. They got a publicity shot of her. Lizzie's the girl who can't gain weight, and she got called the world's ugliest looking girl in the world, and she really is not. But they got a picture, a publicity shot. She looks really good. She really does look good. She got a really good photo. I mean, I think the girl's, again, I've said this a billion times at this point, that I think there's nothing wrong with her. She's cute. She's got a disease that she just can't gain weight. I mean, most people would actually, no puns intended, would die to have something like that. So there's a picture of her, though. She looks, again, really incredible. There's something that was from the Reporter I found that was tonight when I was at work when I took one of my short breaks, or well, maybe a little longer than a shorter break. And it's from the Reporter, local newspaper. Now, this one was kind of interesting. It said it was updated. Attempt of criminal homicide charges filed Tuesday, I'm sorry about that, against Hatfield Township man accused of stabbing his girlfriend in the neck, slashing her palms and fingers, then laughing at her as she bled from her wounds. According to the police, victim has been discharged from the hospital, police said. Bail is set up to $200,000. Attempt of criminal homicide charges in Hatfield man who allegedly, again, stabbed his girlfriend, like repeatedly. So you know where I'm going to go with this. And by the way, since I haven't mentioned it yet, that very beginning soundbite I did on my show, that is from Slime Bowl-rama. You know why I picked that part. If you don't know why, because maybe you haven't heard me before, it was just, to me, it was like, okay, this is a proper dig, so to speak, where, women can basically pull their ace card and say, oh my God, I'm just an innocent victim of this man trying to rape me, even though it won't be true. So that was that whole skit or scheme in that part. These guys that were, being perverted, normal guys basically, but back and then, snuck into this girl's dorm that were taking showers as they were being pledged in Slime Bowl-rama, and, they're just guys being guys. And they were, like, basically getting excited watching these girls taking showers totally nude. Well, that's how you would take a shower. So, but then they get caught, and the girls, the head person of this one frat thing, the girl says, well, all I have to do is say that you were trying to attempt to rape us or something like that, and we know we're going to get away with it. We could even kill you and say it was in self-defense, something like that. And I was like, yeah, that's actually true. So there was that. There was that. That's why I put that, by the way, in the beginning of my show, because hey, it was a proper dig, so to speak, that really could happen. Anyway, somebody put up a video, and I think it was supposed to be against this woman who was ranting and raving in Target that she thinks it's ridiculous that they allow transgenders in the bathroom. So I posted on my Facebook page, but what they don't realize is I'm for this woman. I would be behind her, supporting what she was screaming in Target, that she was trying to deter people about how ridiculous now that men can go in the women's bathroom if they feel that they are really a woman. Basically, that's the bottom line. And this woman was pissed off about this. So it says underneath, meanwhile, at a Target, this woman is crazy and full of hate. These are the type of people who want to take away the LGBT community's rights. How could anyone support someone like this? So I should put underneath, I would. So I'm going to put that right now. And I just did with an exclamation point. So I put it up because it's not that I'm against this woman. I'm actually for what she's saying. So I just put I would. Anyway, a friend sent as a joke this lady, and it says, it's a picture of a woman. She's sitting on a urinal in the men's bathroom, and it says, but Obama said I could. So she was taking her piss on the men's urinal. And it's like, yeah, this is what it's going to come to. Literally, this is what it's going to come to. So, just let you know that. Now, here's an interesting one I found tonight. I think I found it. I don't think I took it from somebody else. Who knows? Because I forget after all. I have so many sources for information anymore that I have posted on Facebook that I don't know what is mine or is somebody else's. But there was something from ABC 15, so maybe it was from another source, somebody else's link on Facebook. But it says, Goodyear man burns family dog in smoker. Oh, okay, I guess one of those things you cook things in. Smoker says that the devil made him do it. So this guy basically put a dog or his dog in a smoker. I guess it's one of those things you cook, like a barbecue type thing. It says actually it was in Goodyear, Arizona. A Goodyear father reportedly sacrificed his family dog because he was upset over his daughter's shirt. Goodyear police say that the 42-year-old Patrick Zane Thompson was upset over a T-shirt the daughter had on Saturday, believing it had to do with the devil. So I won't go any further. Again, this is something you could actually see on Facebook page. So the guy ended up, because he was upset with his daughter for a T-shirt she was wearing, decides to burn the family dog. Makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense. That was interesting. I deliberately sent this other article, by the way, to my one friend Matt at work while we're at work. He sits right behind me now. It's pretty cool. So it basically is from Fox 29. I found this article. A new law in Florida requires public schools to tell students that they don't have to recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Parents would like schools near you to be required to do the same, which is kind of funny. Yesterday when we had our ratification meeting, what did we do? We all stood up and did do the Pledge of Allegiance before we had our meeting to the flag. Now, I was going to make a joke with my friend Matt that was there and say, well, I find this very offensive because that's what our schools and our society has come to now, that it is offensive to others like Muslims. They don't want to see us be able to pledge the flag of our country. They find it offensive. And we are buckling into that as a society. So once again, it says new Florida law, school must notify students that they don't have to recite the pledge. There was some article, I got to find it now, where the woman had to get a permission slip for her daughter, to be able to play in trees. I'm not even kidding. So I don't know if that's easy to find. If it is, I will kind of look at that. Another one was from PIX 11. A Florida man drank a cup of coffee, then called 911 to say that he had shot his wife to death because he couldn't afford the medicine she needed. So he ended up killing her. So, and I did find that article on the woman who the kid who needed the permission slip to climb a fucking tree. Now, this was in it says Newtown patch. So, usually the patch links, it's Bucks County, actually. It says, let my kids be kids. Bucks County mom Penn's tree climbing permission slip. This is no joke. So this is in Pennsylvania here where I live. It says a Bucks County mom irked by a school employee reacting after her son, but it shows like a little girl climbing the tree. You can tell it's a girl. Reaction after her sons were climbing trees, penned a permission slip that has gone viral. A Bucks County mom who was incensed by the school or by a school employee's reaction after her twin sons were climbing trees has penned a permission slip that has gone viral. So now you need a fucking, and they actually show a picture of the actual permission slip she needed so her sons could climb a tree. So this is how ridiculous, how politically correct our society has come. Your kids now, that's not about political correctness, but in some sense of the word, you probably gather what I'm trying to say. That your kids can't even climb a tree without having a permission slip. So that is kind of fucking ridiculous, in my opinion. And it's no joke. Right now, I'm going to look at where I'm at on my hour mark. I'm a little over an hour. I'm at like 11 minutes after. Some of the other stuff on my Facebook page, this was pretty funny. It's an actual sign. It says, now, you got to get the joke in this. And it is a joke. It's well, I don't know if maybe it was a sign that somebody kind of made as a joke and made it look like a real sign, like in a park. Either way, it looks very convincing. But this is what it reads. Cougar in area. Please stay on the trails, travel in small groups, and do not allow men under 30 to travel alone. So if you don't get the butt of the joke, by the way, you know, cougar moms, cougar women, you know, women that are really hot looking, but they're, you know, older women. So that's the whole butt of the joke. So let me reread that again. Let me pull it up. Cougar in the area. Please stay on the trails, travel in small groups, and do not allow men under the age of 30 to travel alone. I had to just clear my throat. So that was fucking funny. Most people won't get the butt of the joke, though. I have another one, talking Comic-Con, and it says, Neil Adams reveals what he thought of Batman versus Superman. I won't read that one because I actually enjoyed the movie. So I have a really cool picture, by the way. There is this, like, furball cat playing with a parakeet. Like, they're playing with each other. I'm not even kidding. It's kind of cute, but the parakeet's, like, kind of, playing around with the cat, and the cat's playing around with him. The cat's, like, smacking the bird around because the bird's, like, pissing off the cat. But it's cute. It really is. I'm not even joking. So I had that up. I heard tonight, because I was started listening to Rush. He wasn't on. I think it was Mark Stein was covering for Rush. And he was bringing up, I think, because I started listening on the way home, very little bit of it. It's a short ride home. And he was saying about the new Avengers movie, which I still refuse to see. I'm going to go see it. I don't know when. And what does he say, by the way? God, it's 4 o'clock. I didn't realize how late it was. He was basically talking about how they had to make that even politically correct, where they put Spider-Man, finally they had a crossover where Spider-Man was allowed in one of the Avengers movies. Well, what do you call it's playing his aunt now, Aunt May or whatever it is? I can't remember. Let me put in Spider-Man's aunt because I can't remember. Let me move my mic down too. Spider-Man's aunt in the Avengers. Wait, I spelled that wrong. Well, that's nothing new. Film. It should come up because it was like this girl who was like super hot. She played in Aunt May. Yeah, I was right. It was Aunt May. But guess who Aunt May was like an old grandmother. You know, that's what we had. Now he's got like a MILF. You know, Spider-Man has a MILF for, I know it's Torme, or whatever, how you say her name. I'm trying to look for her right now. She's playing Aunt May, and it's like, okay, there you go. There is a cougar right there. She is like super fucking hot. But she's playing Aunt May, though. Oh, somebody's getting pulled over right now. It's pretty funny. Let's see. Tom Holland as Peter Parker. Yeah, Marissa Tomei is playing Aunt May. Yeah, and so that's what they were talking about. Like, Mark Stein, who's covering for Rush Limbaugh, said, they always got to change things. They got to make things, I guess, more kind of like politically correct. Okay, Teresa, what is it again? Because I can't say her name right. Torme. God, I can't get her fucking name right. Marissa Tomei is playing Aunt May. I mean, it's like, come on. That would be like, God, if that was my aunt, I'd have a one-track mind with her. No offense, I would just have a one-track mind. There's one thing I'd be trying to do. When I think of her, by the way, I keep on thinking of her being in that, God, what was that movie? My Cousin Vinny, where she really did. My parents loved that film, by the way. But where she was supposed to be like a bimbo practically, and she dressed it really scantily. And that's like what's in my mind, and she still looks really good. So, yeah, you're putting her in as Aunt May, and it it really does not fly. I'm sorry. It's just like they had some good actresses. They did make them younger every time, but that's just like really going a little bit too far. So, just saying. I mean, not that I won't enjoy it. Probably they might have done that hoping that more people would go see it because you got like a hot aunt. But you know where that's kind of going also. It's going in the direction of, allowing that. Because there was another story of a school teacher that was 49 years old who had a sexual relationship. I think the kid now was 17, but she had this sexual relationship with this kid since he was since 2015. It's 20 or yeah, something like that. I got to look for that one. Anyway, there was an interesting story I saw. I didn't know this either. I've heard about these places. I've never seen one of them. It's a West Coast burger joint called In-N-Out. So they said, do you know that the In-N-Out burger is owned by a 30-year-old female billionaire drag racer? That I did not know. And she's actually not that bad looking. So, God, I don't even know her name. So she's worth, it says it's like, see, they should make those In-N-Out burgers on the East Coast. I don't think there is any. Anyone who lives or has visited the West Coast, it actually says, has likely enjoyed, I've heard of them, I've never seen one, In-N-Out has enjoyed an In-N-Out burger joint. For those who have not experienced the privilege, imagine the best burgers you ever tasted, then multiply that by 100. In-N-Out was founded in 1948 by Harry and Esher Sidney, and 65 years later is still privately owned. It's a privately owned family company with over 281 locations, and it's worth $625 million in its annual revenues. That's how much it accumulates a year. Looks like Lindsay Torres or something, 30 years old, granddaughter of these people. She's actually a cute-looking girl, too. I mean, I'm not going to say she's hot, but she's cute. So, it says her net worth is over $1 billion, is worth $1 billion. That's incredible. So, now here's an interesting story I found, and it's not interesting, but it's just, actually, it's pretty pathetic. I'm just going to read it. It says, judge reduces sentence for a man who raped a 3-year-old relative. This is no joke. This is a real story from WatchThis.com. Let me see if it goes into it, because, the guy looks like Hispanic, of Hispanic descent. A California judge reduced the sentence of a man convicted of sexually assaulting a 3-year-old by 15 years. Kevin Rogeno, it is like pretty much a Hispanic name because that's why I'm not getting it correctly, will now serve 10 years in prison rather than 25 to life. In June of 2014, the 20-year-old Kevin, it's spelled, by the way, maybe you can figure it out for me. His last name is spelled Rojano, was playing video games in the garage of his Santa A home when a 3-year-old relative of his wandered in, KABC reports. This person reportedly became aroused by the girl and pulled her pants down and sexually assaulted her. This is no joke. This is a real fucking story. So he has now had his sentence reduced from life imprisonment down to 10 years. So that, again, was kind of very upsetting. There's a story, I didn't actually read it. Now I'm kind of curious about it. It was about a train getting derailed. This is Allentown train ride to New York derailed. This was in the morning call. The running one-day train excursion from Allentown, New York seemed like such a good idea that when Amtrak officials suggested it in December, people from 3 states began inquiring about tickets. That would be an actually excellent idea if we could get this train. Apparently, the idea was better in the concept than the execution because the train Amtrak executive Joe McHugh said could happen by April. Not only hasn't happened, it probably won't, at least not for anytime soon. See, when I read derailed, I assumed like it physically came derailed. No, the project got derailed. It's a rather lengthy article. So there was supposed to be a train from Allentown. I thought I heard about something like that. You can get a train from Allentown, which isn't that far. It's probably a good hour from me, maybe a little longer than that. But if I could get a train from Allentown to New York, it probably would be kind of cool and probably worth it at the same time. But yeah, that thing has been stomped, kind of dead now, dead in the water, so to speak. Now, the story, by the way, because I'm going to make this probably... Sorry about that. Twilight Zone's on right now on my back, the back of me on TV. There was a story from PX11 a friend had sent me today. Another story, again, this is what I mentioned. This was in Easton, Pennsylvania. Teacher arrested for having sex with a student in a cemetery. This is what the police have reported. Now, it gets better yet. Again, this is in Easton, Pennsylvania. I always mention it. And by the way, this woman's not going to get away with it because she is pretty fugly looking. I'm not even trying to be sarcastic, but you have to. I read this earlier, so I got to read it again now on my show. It says a married substitute teacher has been charged after police allegedly caught her having sex with a teenager at the Easton Cemetery earlier this month. A 49-year-old Kelly Allinger worked on a part-time basis at the Easton Area High School in Pennsylvania, but her contract has since been terminated, according to her attorney. The teenager is 17 years old now, a junior at the high school, according to the court records. Tuesday morning, Allinger was charged with institutional sexual assault and is being held on $50,000 bail, pending her hearing scheduled for May 31st, which isn't that far off. Now, I did kind of fuck up her name, so I'm just going to let you know now. I'm just going by Allinger. And then it says Allinger, and then the teen were discovered, this woman, this substitute, and the teen was discovered in a car on May 6th at the cemetery by an office of patrol. So it was basically around cemetery. It says officer of patrol was, I guess there was a police, basically checking out the cemetery, basically making sure nobody was there after dark. and caught this woman with this kid. According to the court records, Allinger admitted to being involved in a sexual relationship with the boy since 2015 when he was 16 years old. Allinger is married, but admitted during her arrangement Tuesday morning that she had moved from her home that she shared with her husband and children and is currently living with her parents. So that's like a real prize winner. Now, the reason I bring up stories like that, I am constantly put, under the microscope for everything I do, no matter what it is. And people say, oh, you're just saying that. No, it's the truth. It's the fucking truth. Everything I do, right or wrong, which most of the time, no matter what I do, it's always wrong. I'm always being looked down upon. I'm always being harassed by some person or another. It doesn't matter where it is. It's like I am just a victim. I truly am. I say this about people that are morons. I am not a moron, but I'm just saying I truly am a victim of circumstance. Like no matter what I do, people just look at me and automatically I am found and accused of being guilty of something. I don't even know what the fuck it would be because it just comes up. Oh, you're guilty. Like, they just look at me and they automatically assume this he's shady. We need to keep our distance. This guy is up to no good. It's like, and yet these are probably, my guess, are the same assholes who are the ones who are these liberals who will say, well, we need to stop with this profiling because it's discriminatory. Well, okay, you're saying it's discriminatory, hypothetically. Because my one friend, Matt, will say, well, who's saying this to you? Nobody's saying it to me directly to clarify this. But they are in a roundabout way. They are. I can point out bluntly, like, for instance, tonight, when I say about harassment, the one woman, she said, and she told me who the person was who did this, but at work, I said, hey, I want to be out for the rest of the week. I told the supervisors. I told a lot of people. And they forgot, like, instantly. The next day they forgot I was out for the whole, from Wednesday on, I was out for the rest of the week. So I've said this before and nobody believed me. This woman brought it to my attention, or a friend at work. She brought it to my attention that I work with, friend and coworker. She said, oh, yeah, Walter, the trash was so packed solid on Friday that I needed to lighten the bags just to lift them out. And these are the same ones I'm always complaining about, that they make them so heavy. They do it on spite. They do it deliberately just to see how far they can really just piss me off. So I've said this before. It happened to this poor woman I work with. And I was like, this is not cool. I said, I told you so. I've said this before. I told you so. And lo and behold, it happened to her. So the guy... She asked this one guy, she said, these trash cans are way too heavy. I can barely lift these. So I have to, like, kind of lighten the load. She said, this is ridiculous. Like, basically, she didn't say this. I'm saying it. It was like, this is ridiculous. So this guy told her, he said, well, just get Walter to lift them then, do the trash. To leave it for Walter to do. So they deliberately kind of set it up just to see how they could piss me off. And she said, well, yeah, but Walter's out until Monday now. It was like, oh. So they literally got caught with their pants down. They literally got caught pulling a stunt like that, and it backfired. It literally backfired on them. So, for people like that, sorry about that. For people like that, go fuck yourself. I mean, I'm glad that lady I have working for me, she's such a saint. I swear to God. And she's seeing everything. That's why I don't want to lose her. She's an excellent worker. There's two people that I work with right now. Credible workers, really big help, but it's coming towards the end of they may not be able to help me anymore. I don't know. I hope they can extend their stay. No puns intended, because I stayed at a place called Extended Stay. By the way, I love talking about these car crashes and these idiot drivers, and most of them don't have driver's license or just illegally living in our country. Well, here's a story I found, and this is no joke. It was in the Morning Call, and it's a police report. It says, stolen gun found at Willow Park Road, fatal crash. So it says Bethlehem Township, as Bethlehem Township police worked in the early morning hours on May 6th to identify 3 victims in a fiery crash in Willow Park Road. They got their first clues from a hotel room key. So I think I did mention about this crash. This guy was going so fast, he ran right into parked cars, and the cars all caught on fire, including the one he was in. So that's what this is about, I think. So there's more information about this. And it says the key was found in the pocket of the driver because they were beyond recognition. They have to go by dental records because they were burned beyond belief, these people in the car. Identified by the police as Terrell, it looks like Terrell Barkley, 28, who remains in a medically induced coma, was burned and other injuries he suffered after walking out of a wreckage while on fire, authorities say. So this is that story. The key was in a room at the Scottish Inn on I can't pronounce that, something road in Hanover Township, Lehigh County. Police said inside the room, police said they found drugs. Here we go. Oh, Walter, you're making this up. God, here I am being right again. So let me just say it right now. I told you so. Let me reread this now. Or I'm not going to reread the whole thing. Inside this room, police said they found drugs and other illegal items. Wow. Isn't that what I'm always saying over and over again? The room has been rented by Amanda Martin, 26, who officials said died at the scene. She got burned to death. Along with Joshua Edwards, 28, and Ashley Joe, it looks like Mosher, 29. So, what did I just say? There was drugs and illegal other items in the room, quote, unquote. That's what this article is saying now. So, let's see. How many people did I mention? The guy who's burned severely, who survived because he walked away. But in the same car, this guy was driving over, I remember this story now, over 100 miles an hour, folks. 1, 2, 3 other people. There was 4 people in the car. The car caught fire. There's actually more to the story. I didn't realize that. But that's enough. You got to get the idea. He was driving. Oh, okay. Inside the wreckage of the burned-out car, police said they found a stolen gun. It says the .40 caliber gun has been reported stolen in April in Plainfield Township, said. So there you go. You know, it always seems like I make all these stories up. Like I'm just saying it to, his car speeds, by the way, they said he was going between 80 to 100 miles an hour before he crashed into parked cars, and he had illegal stuff and a stolen gun on his possession. So when I say this stuff all the time, it sounds like I'm just being, basically trying to make people out like, oh, all people are bad and stuff. Well, majority of the times I say this stuff, I'm actually 100% right. I'm not even like, 5% right. No, I'm 100% right. And it even says towards the end of this article, because it is a little bit long, it says Barkley also had a small amount of marijuana in his pocket. Wow. So there we go again. Oh, well, it's only marijuana. Yeah, everything always turns out to be, well, it's only. It's never a big deal unless it's me, and then it's a big fucking deal. And I get so fucking sick of it. By the way, it's an hour and a half right now, so I'm going to cut this short now. I just didn't realize that story was the story, by the way, that I had read, because they got more information about it now. Now, that one I gloat on this stuff. I really do. I'm not going to even deny the fact that I gloat on this stuff for the simple fact because I'm always right. There's no other reason why I'm so happy about all this shit. And it is shit because it's destroying my life. It's stressing me out. It literally is. And everybody always tells me, oh, just don't take all this stuff so seriously. How am I not supposed to fucking take this stuff seriously when I'm surrounded by stupidity, morons, and assholes who do, like I said before, whatever the fuck they want to do. They get everything handed to them on a silver platter. They don't work for a living. They live off of welfare and food stamps. They get free housing, free cars, free cell phones, and all they do is fuck all day, all night, and they do fucking drugs. And I'm supposed to, and they just literally harass me. I've actually proven that too, over and over again, but yet I'm supposed to just take this with a grain of fucking salt. Are you fucking crazy? No, I'm not going to take this with a grain of salt. I'm not going to look the other way, and I can't help but look it straight in the eye. I can't ignore it when people are just being assholes to me for no fucking reason at all. No good reason, period. So, again, I just had to state half this stuff. And, as always, I'm 100% right. I'm not just a little bit right. I'm 100% right. So when I say stuff, like even that story yesterday, that accident that I was actually witness to, we don't know the whole situation, Walter. You're just saying that stuff. You really don't have any concrete evidence. Well, I tell you, it wasn't in the paper, that accident I had taken pictures of. It never fucking got reported. And I guarantee you, if they do an investigation, there will be the same material once again involved. And I'm sure the reason they're keeping it out of the paper, because it never hit any newspaper, as far as I know, is probably because they were illegally driving, probably illegal immigrants that were driving at high speeds at 9 o'clock at night. Because I was right before, and I would guarantee you that I'm right again. Now, there was one last thing I did want to talk about, because I know my one friend, bigger Matt, my other friend Matt, bigger. One's really tall, one's kind of short, so I'll just leave it at that. One I work with, one I don't, but they're both called Matt. Their names are Matt. They're both called Matt. No, their names are Matt. So my one friend Matt, by the way, because I know he's going to die to hear this, because apparently I don't get a response from anyone unless I talk about it on my show. Then I hear a response back. But when I try to confront people and talk to them like about this certain situations, they wait until a point that I just don't want to talk about it, or where I'm not available to talk to them like face to face or even on the phone. I don't care at this point because, my schedule, and sometimes I just don't want to be bothered with, quite honestly, on the weekends. And my one friend, Matt, that's when I usually see him, is on the weekends. Like, dude, I need one day just to unwind. I really just need a day not to think about anything except me. Me. So my friend Matt said, and it did get me mad, I did call him back and let him know. Not mad, it got me a little peeved. He said, hey, Walter, I was watching this documentary on the bronies. And apparently there's some brony convention coming somewhere not too far from here. I'm actually against it. But he actually said, my friend Matt, I was watching that brony special. I'm actually going to probably kind of almost got intrigued that they said from this documentary you watched. It's like, dude, I wouldn't even remotely watch it. The closest I got to watching a My Little Pony thing was at a brony get-together that was so happened to be in Philadelphia at the comic book convention me and my friend were already at. Now, we did it, my friend and I, my friend Todd, though, we went in just as a joke because we think it's kind of like ridiculous that grown men are, trying to validate why My Little Pony is for, not just for little kids. So I kind of clarified it with a message to a friend, another friend. I said, listen to me. Bronies to me are completely different than me watching Hannah Montana or anything like that. Now, neither one is excusable, but at least the kids I watch, and that's not my reason for watching it. Trust me. I watch it because I thought it was hilarious. Shows like these kids' Disney shows, which I honestly have not watched lately. I've been watching all these bad horror movies from the 70s. I just go through certain phases. I told him more than once, my one friend Matt, I just get tired of all the bullshit. Everything's about sex and drugs, who's fucking who, in movies, TV shows, and just the general news. I get tired of it. So what I do is I started watching Disney shows. It all started years ago, and I was down the shore, on vacation, and there's like nothing on TV, and I stumbled upon certain Disney shows. It's like, these are really funny. And definitely entertaining. That's what got me started. Not because like, oh, well, you know what? I'm going to turn on the Disney Channel and start jerking off. And, that because I think they're not going to come out. My friend Matt, you're not going to come out with it. Or anybody else is going to come out with it. And I did try to reach out to you, dude, so I'm just letting you know. I understand you're busy, but you can't be that busy. Yeah, but in your mind, I'm sure you're thinking like, okay, Walter's watching stuff to jerk off to these kids. No, I actually watch the shows because I just think they're fucking entertaining. That's the bottom line. There's no other way around it. So, and I'm sure you're going to say, oh, finally, I knew you were going to talk about this, Walter. Well, yeah, I am. Because I have nothing else to talk about either. So, here we are. Sorry about that. Trying to look at the time. It's almost 2 hours now. Oh, coming up on 2 hours. And, he says, well, Walter, I know I always am picking on you about watching Disney shows and kids shows and stuff like that. But I really think I'm going to watch My Little Pony. It's like, dude, no offense, but there is a difference. There's, you could say it's a slim difference, but literally, the people who watch My Little Pony, the general audience, they're not even teenagers. They're not preteens. They're basically like kids coming out of the mother's womb. These are kids that are infants, or the mom doesn't have anything else to put on TV. So they put on shows like My Little Pony for, their little, little 1-year-old, 2-year-old kids to watch. That's what's watching My Little Pony. And generally, it's not boys who watch My Little Pony. It's little girls, because look at My Little Pony. That's what it is. I've seen these guys at these conventions. No offense, but these are guys that, like myself, so I have no room to speak, who just basically have no fucking luck with women, or are just trying to find some legitimate excuse, in my opinion, to go rape some fucking 3-year-old like that story I read just a little bit ago. That is their whole excuse, but they're trying to find a way of validating why they would want to have sex with an infant or a little kid. And I made the joke with another friend. I left a voicemail for another friend, and I said, at least the kids that I probably would be sexually looking at, not that I am, I'm just saying, at least have hit puberty, or probably even have hair on their private parts. You're talking about literally, this is how I left the message, that are coming out of the mom's womb watching My Little Pony. And again, it's generally little girls. So there is a big difference there. And you can fight me tooth and nail and say, well, no, there's no difference. It's both perverted. Yeah, but I think it's even more so perverted when you're talking about watching a show. Literally, I wouldn't even think twice about doing it. I'm sorry. I would not think twice about watching My Little Pony. I would fall asleep watching it. We sat in there trying to watch it, me and a friend. It was actually not My Little Pony, the show. It was the documentary. Probably the same one my friend Matt has just recently watched himself. And I had to go out because, like, dude, this is so fucking boring. I don't find it interesting at all. And the only thing that's remotely interesting is, and the lady who actually does, it's a woman who does the voices. She's, like, not bad looking. She's not hot. But she can put on, like, a voice of a little kid's voice. And, I mean, she kind of got creeped out when she started being, like, asked to go to these fans, like these fan get-togethers. When they say, hey, can you come because we're big fans of My Little Pony? And she actually admitted, she said it was kind of a little creepy. And it was like, no wonder why it's a little creepy, because you're putting on the voice of a little kid. You're doing a cartoon with ponies that are pink and stuff for little girls to, buy. The whole thing, the whole premise of My Little Pony, by the way, was a whole marketing scheme to sell the merchandise for these, toy My Little Pony things. It was like Transformers back in the day. Transformers was a TV show, but it was the whole thing was, a half-hour marketing scheme to get kids to buy the toys of the Transformers. So this is no different, but the only difference is at least Transformers was like for kids that were like 8 and 10 years old. My Little Pony, that market that they're trying to appeal to is literally like 2-year-olds. I'm not even kidding. Like little kids that you plop the kid in front of the TV set, they see this, and they want the toys then. That's what that's all about. And, you can defend yourself or say that, hey, I was just kind of interested. But really, that's, as that old saying is, that is calling the pot called the kettle black. Because you're trying to justify watching a show for 2-year-olds. No offense, Matt. I'm not trying to pick on you, even though I actually really am. But you're trying to clarify and justify that it's okay, and it's not the same as watching the Disney Channel. Well, you know what? There is a fucking difference. I'm sorry. I don't know how else to put it. There is a fucking difference. And it's one that, to me, it's quite disturbing. I mean, you're hearing it from me saying, hey, well, I actually find this kind of like, kind of sick. Well, how else can I put it? It is. It's really, really gross. I wouldn't even think about it. I experienced these guys, and, I'll talk to them, but, I mean, no offense to those guys, but I'm kind of like picking on them, or, I mean, I'm high school, acting like I'm in high school with these guys, but, I'm not going to do it in front of their face, but I think the whole thing, and they never get anybody in their line, because they've been at, like, these last couple comic book conventions, and most people, like, kind of, I hate to say it, they've avoided those guys like the plague. And it's like these people that go, like that time down in Philadelphia to the Comic-Con, if that's not bad enough, that was like they had it in a room all the way in the back of the convention center, away from everybody else, so they could watch My Little Pony documentary with that woman. I mean, it's just like you're literally appealing to perverts and sex perverts who want to have sex probably with little kids of under the age of 5. So just to clarify that, you can say that, well, there is no difference between that and me watching Hannah Montana, who is Miley Cyrus now, who now at the age of 20 is like basically wearing no top and basically a piece of a shoestring up her ass, who is advertising herself as a piece of meat. And I do that stuff just out of humor, though. Like that I went to that concert. I'm not doing it to go home. And like the pictures I had taken, I was like, okay, how could I, I'm trying to think. How could I, like, get some more hits? That's the only reason I took those pictures. Like when I take pictures of stuff, I do it for the sole purpose of how it's going to, like, benefit me. And the more provocative the pictures are, basically the better off I am, because I'm going to actually I'm trying to think of the right word. I'll get more people like viewing my stuff. So, but I don't do it for like, oh yeah, I'm going to take a picture of, Miley Cyrus wearing like no clothes, so I can go home and jerk off to the pictures, because they're not that great. I just think it's interesting. It's like, okay, can I get these shots and I get a couple hits? But in that aspect, these people who actually, watch My Little Pony, I think you can say their intentions are different. But I put that, no offense, I put that up with the same category of these people that say it's all right it's all right for you to be for men who think they're women or are going to eventually become women in their own mind to go into the ladies' bathroom, which some of the stories I've read so far with that situation, which has proven that fact, that they're perverts to go in those bathrooms majority of the times for the few people, because the amount of transgenders, by the way, is only like 1.1% probably, if even that, 1 or 2%. Out of like all of the United States, that's the majority of people that are classified as being men who feel that they were born the wrong sex and actually get the surgery done. 1.1% probably. Not a very big amount. So what about these guys who just slap on a dress or just walk in the ladies' room and then they say, well, I actually feel like, I'm the wrong body, so I should be allowed to go in there. And what are they doing? They're sexually assaulting, again, little kids. That's what I read. There was a story about that. Guy sexually assaults a girl, a little kid, 3-year-old again, something like that. So where's this all going to, Walter? Well, it's just going back to the main point, what I mentioned, that, you're just justifying, even with My Little Pony, I'm sorry, you're just justifying that you're making up some poor, very poor, lame excuse of somebody's sexual perversions. And the way you defend your actions is by just finding something wrong with me. You won't take like the responsibility, like, you know what, Walter, you're absolutely right. I am doing this because, I'm a perverted sick fuck. I'm not saying Matt is. I'm just saying the people in general that follow like My Little Pony. So instead of defending the fact like, Walter, you know what, I think you're on to something. I think you're right. It'll come out to, well, you watch Disney Channel and you watch Nickelodeon. You think that's sane? Well, I hate to say it, compared to the shit you're doing, I'm not trying to, because Matt, you're going to take this like personally now, and I'm not trying to go that direction, but that's what end up happening. Well, you're put the blame on me. It's like, well, you need to take responsibility. You open up this can of worms. Now you got to take the responsibility that what you're doing is a little bit, a little disturbing, if not say very disturbing. So I don't know. I just gotta, because I just seen some other story that I just have to talk about. This was in Australia though. Daily Mail says. So it's all around the world with these idiot drivers, by the way. So there was another story like that where a car gets wrapped around the tree, literally. So when I saw this, I was like, okay, one more story to read for Walter. And here's what it says. The photo every teenager pee platter needs to see. I don't know what the pee platter stands for. It's actually literally P-platter. Horrific images show a boy 17 being cut free from the mangled wreckage of a high-powered car after colliding with a tree while speeding. 2 17-year-old boys have been injured in a single car crash on Frederick Road, Cecil Hills, southwest Sydney. So that is Australia. The passengers managed to free himself before emergency services arrived about 12:30 p.m. on Tuesday. The driver remained trapped inside the Honda Integra until he was freed at 2 p.m. by NSW Fire and Rescue. And this has become more and more of a problem with this younger generation, by the way. Passengers suffered minor head injuries while the driver suffered a leg injury in the smash. Both teen boys were treated by NSW ambulance paramedics and transferred to Liverpool Hospital. So that's like a big difference of location, because Liverpool would be in England, wouldn't it? Or am I wrong? Is there a Liverpool into Australia? I didn't know. Maybe there is. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty entertaining. But I just, I wanted to get that out. I've been trying to, like, kind of ignore the whole thing and try to be diplomatic with my friend Matt and try to call him, try to even get him live, but it didn't work. So this is where it ends up on iWalter. So just to let you know, I did try, Matt. I did try to call you the last couple of days. And I wasn't ignoring you after the first time you were starting talking about that. I just think it's really weird. I really do. I'm sorry. And I did mention that fact. So everyone, this is Walter from iWalter. I'm going back to my main thing because it is like going on 5 o'clock. Thanks for listening to me if you are. I should be able to put this up pretty quickly tonight or early in this morning because all I have to do is put the last part on and I'm done. So thanks again. It is 4:46 a.m. on May 18th, 2016. This is Walter from iWalter. And yes, I am signing off for now. Thanks again.